Good evening. It is 6 o'clock, and I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. All board members are present. It is the practice of our Board of Education to begin our meeting with a prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance. We invite you to bow your heads in prayer and stand to join us in the pledge if you so choose.
Let us bow our heads. Lord, we respectfully ask for your guidance and wisdom as we proceed with the business before us. Keep us mindful of our purpose of providing a quality education for the students attending Taylor County Schools. Amen.
Wonderful. Dr. Stallings, do we have any adjustments or addendums for the agenda?
In fact, Ms. Garvin, I do not.
That is delightful. The superintendent respectfully requests approval of the agenda as presented.
Ms. Garvin, I would like to make a motion for item 5,000 to be a separate vote so that I may recuse myself.
Certainly.
I'll second that.
Okay. Mrs. Gallo amends, Mr. Taylor seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes, and we are amended. And moving on to the 1000 series information, we have one of the most joyful evenings, the recognition of our retirees. And Miss Helen Roberts has some things to say to us.
And who did you bring with you tonight? It's his dedication too. And what are your next steps? What are you planning on doing? Anything exciting?
We're going to be traveling some, but I'm still going to sub.
And I'm sure help out with those grandboys.
I'm very busy with my grandson.
Yes.
No pressure, Mike's other retirees about the subbing.
And Miss Donna Morgan, if you'll come forward, please.
I will say that I worked at prison for about 20 years full time, and then I worked in Taylor County Middle School for 2 years. And I can't say enough about how great it's been. Yeah, really, blessed. I was one who woke up in the morning, wanted to go to work, and really felt motivated about what I did. And I've already accepted the long-term club yard. So, and I brought with me today my Lindsay Morgan, I brought Mark Melhausen, my cousin, and I brought Patty Huber, who is also a retired school teacher from Atlanta. Another cousin.
Mhm.
Yeah, but it was a great run. Yeah, I'm leaving because I want to spend time with our children who live out of state and celebrate their successes while in the military and whatever they're doing. And so.
Thank you. And Miss Nancy Tonkery, if you'll come forward, please.
So Nancy, believe it or not, I was trying to be incognito. She's still coming from very recent the kind of finishes the outfit, don't you think? She also retired from our Taylor County Middle School. And I just got to meet her mine yesterday. We had the pleasure of working for the last 2 years. So again, it means a lot. Some of us, it's like that. We appreciate all the years of service to the department.
Thank you. And Nancy, what's your plans for now after retirement? Good for you. Well deserved.
I'm super happy to have had the opportunity to work with all of you throughout the years that you have dedicated to our school system. I know that I've had kids that have went through some of your classrooms, and I've been able to see you mold them into successful adults and assist in molding them into successful adults. And I have one now that is actually a successful speech pathologist. I have one that's going to graduate college very soon. I have another one entering. So along their paths in life and their learning, you guys participated and have just dedicated your lives to not just thousands and thousands of children along the way. So we've been very blessed here in Taylor County to have all of you and all of your hours that you've put forth for this county and the community. And I just want to say I thank you from the bottom of my heart that you chose to work here, because we have the best, and you guys are part of the best. So thank you for all of the years you dedicated here.
Well, congratulations on your retirement. It's the beginning of a lot of activities that you didn't get to do in your previous time. So I hope you'll enjoy your retirement. If you haven't already joined the Retired School Employees, please do. and congratulations again.
So I just want to thank you as well for your years of dedication and also for being instrumental in my children's lives as well. They're both graduates of Taylor County Middle School and Grafton. And I have one here that is going to be that you're passing that baton to. So it takes a village, and thank you for your words. That I'm sure that they were very inspiring to him as he will be getting ready to venture into his career at Taylor County Middle School. So again, thank you for all your dedication. Really appreciate it.
For the headache, the heartache, the heartbreak, the hard work, the dedication, class dismissed. Go on. Thank you for everything.
Thanks for coming.
All right, and moving on, the TCMS Band Director, Mr. Joshua Chido.
Good evening, everybody. I don't get to come here very often, but I feel like whenever I do, I always have to either brag on my kids or ask for something. So I'm going to kind of do both tonight. I brought some members of our band boosters. These are our officers that are currently serving. One thing that I always strive with my kids to do every year, beginning of every school year, is to understand the importance of hard work and dedication to their craft, whatever it might be. If it's band, great. If it's art, great. If it's history, great. Do the best you can at it. And I always promise them that hard work does not go unrecognized, not just by community, but by anybody statewide. In late April, I received a letter that our achievements have been recognized at the national level. In just a brief moment, one of our officers will hand you a folder that will look like this, and inside there'll be some information. In late April, I received a letter from the National Veterans Day Ceremony Committee in Washington, D.C. Without reading the lengthy, it'll be in your packet. I'm not going to insult your intelligence and read all of it to you verbatim. But in the second paragraph, it says, as part of the important event, the historic programs will be forming a ceremonial mass band. We invite the Taylor County Middle School Band to be the representative for the state and community in the National Veterans Day ceremony in Washington, D.C. this coming November 2025. So what I'm going to do very little speaking because these amazing women behind me that serve as our officers, the one thing I love about having a good group to work with is I don't have to do the work. I teach their kids, they smile and say, good job, Mr. Chido, and then they do all the heavy lifting, and I just, yeah, I'm really indebted to them for the leadership that they've taken on this. So if you want to go ahead and pass out their folders, and I will kind of turn it over to them, they can lead through this. But what we are looking for today is we just want to give you some information on everything that we have up to date as far as cost, as far as the dates, travel expenses, things like that, and looking for some support and what we've already done up to this point to get support for our middle school band so they can be recognized at the national level. I cannot tell you the amount of joy sharing this information with the students. I was trying to keep it hush-hush until I had a chance to talk with our boosters to see, is this something we want to pursue? Is it feasible? Are we going to be able to accomplish this? But once we decided, yep, we're all in, let's see what we can do here, the kids were just and just incredibly thrilled to receive this recognition, and this, in my humble opinion, this honor. Many of these kids may never ever get to put something like this on their resume ever again. So this, I want to turn it over to one of you, and we can just kind of lead you through it. So this is Miss Val Leach. She is our Band Booster President for the year.
Thank you for inviting us to come tonight and present this to you. Mr. Taylor, when you opened, you pointed to our flag and you asked us to stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance to the people and remember the people who fought before us. And so it's very exciting that the kids get to go with that in mind. Coming from Grafton, they already know how awesome it is for Memorial Day. And now we get to expand on that. And Veterans Day, and this November, you might guess that this is not inexpensive. This is an expensive trip. The itinerary you can find is on page 2 of your folder. It is 4 days and 3 nights. The reason for the long trip is they will travel in on Sunday. Technically, I guess if you traveled Monday morning, you could make it there in time to perform at the Air Force Memorial on Monday, but that would not be a solid sound. The kids would be exhausted. It would be awful. So we have to get in the night before for it to be feasible for it to work. So they will get to perform at the Air Force Memorial. You can follow in on the itinerary. Everything that we do, have a guide with us the entire time. We have charter buses held for us the entire time. Everything is in a pretty close proximity to where they will be. All their lunches, if you're looking at the itinerary that say dinner on your own or lunch on your own, will actually be part at the Ronald Reagan building, which is right there in the midst of everything. It's a huge cafeteria. We pay for the vouchers in advance. All the kids stay with us together. It's really fantastic. And there's a multitude of things for them to choose from. So all the meals were there. We're not looking for a culinary experience on this trip. We're just going to get it done and get them fed. So yeah, Air Force Memorial, and then later that night they get to do a Washington by night guided tour. From my understanding and from what I've talked to, it's unmatched. Apparently it's an incredible tour. And the more we talked about this with the kids, the more the kids are like, what's there to see at night? They don't know. They don't realize just how awesome DC is. They have never, I'd say 90% of these kids have never been to DC, maybe more. And I have a feeling the majority of that 90% will never make it there. Like, this is a big trip. It's expensive. DC is expensive, and we're well aware of that. So we're pretty excited. We're beyond excited. If you move on to Tuesday, November 11th, which is Veterans Day, the kids will get to perform at the Lincoln Memorial. Then they'll walk along the reflecting pool. We are told they're not allowed to march and play while marching as respect of the area. So they will then perform at the World War II Memorial as a mass band concert. Mr. Chido already has figured out some possible songs they can use at the Air Force Memorial and the World War II that they will play by themselves as a band. And so he's working on that already and has a whole list, I think, of things they could possibly play just as their own band, not part of the mass band by themselves. From there, they get to go down to Arlington National Cemetery and the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. I remember being there in high school on a high school field trip, and I still remember the event. I still remember it, and I'm excited for them to get to see that. To wrap up their event, they get to do a dinner cruise. It's a dinner cruise out during the evening, so it's kind of formal, and the kids will have to go prepared for that. But again, something they will not experience otherwise. This is not, something they will not experience otherwise. The last day, if we can work it out to get them to the White House at the Visitor Center, we will absolutely do that, but we have to go through our senators in order for that to happen. And I'm already in the process of that, but that's a basic breakdown of the itinerary that they have listed. If you turn to the next page, and I'm not going to go through this whole thing, well, maybe I will, we'll see. If you turn to the next page, you can see the basic cost of the breakdown. The prices that we have, it comes out to about $645 a person. What we would like to do is a 5-to-1 kid to chaperone ratio. So if you picture 2 hotel rooms, there'll be 2 rooms next to each other that are adjoining. One room will have 4 kids. The other room will have 3 kids and an adult. The room of 4 will be split into 2 different groups. So it'll be 5 kids to 1 adult. as the ratio. We feel like that's a pretty safe number, especially since everywhere we're going will be with a guided tour or on the charter bus. The numbers that we have involved, that we've totaled up, would include the parents. I don't feel right asking for parents to come and spend $700 to watch the kids if they're, I mean, it needs to be included. So we included that into the price. If parents beyond that ratio want to go, they're welcome to, but that's on their dollar. That's up to them. And we've actually had some parents say, yeah, we'll be there. We're not chaperoning, but we'll be there. I'm like, okay, we'll tell you what hotel we're in. The bus charters. I called around to multiple bus charters, and I absolutely wanted to get one that had a West Virginia license so that we could be tax exempt since the Band Boosters is part of this group and the Board of Education. So this particular one is based out of Pennsylvania just across, but she has a West Virginia business license as well. So that is helpful. This woman who is at Budget Charter, her name is Natalie. She is phenomenal and has been a great deal of help. She helped me find the Ronald Reagan building. She has told me where they can go and what they should do, and that she knows how much the parking is, and she knows all the details that I couldn't wrap my head around. But she's been great. So Budget Charters is how we came up with Budget Charter. Next page is Veterans Day meal planning. So if you notice, when you look at the itinerary, there's several meals not included. Again, I explained the Ronald Reagan building. We'll buy all those vouchers online prior to the event. It comes out to about $15 per meal, which is, you can go to Chick-fil-A. I mean, you can go to Chick-fil-A and get that basically in DC. That's about it. But yeah, so the meals are pretty easy, which Carrie so wonderfully put on the last page is the meal breakdown. So you can see you buy 20 and you get one free, basically. So that's nice at the Ronald Reagan building. That helps. On the tab where page 2 starts, you're not the only ones we were planning on asking. We're not going to stop here. This is the letter we have drafted up to go to businesses. I believe the last page has a list of some of the businesses we'll be going to. With our 501c3, they can give money to boosters, or they can, and I've made it so that we can give money directly to the band through the Board of Education. They can do it however they choose. But I have not only reached out, or we have not only reached out to you guys, we have already made contact with state government officials. The Capita's office and Justice's office are doing what they can to support us. They'll do it through social media. I'm still working on pushing that a little further. We have a direct contact with Senator Capito, so that we're still working on that one. State President Randy Smith is searching for funds. We've got the Secretary of Veterans Affairs, Ryan Kennedy, and the Communications Director of Daryl Bayless. He is also searching for funds. They know of some grants that they can use specifically for this sort of thing when you're representing the entire state as opposed to just our county. House Delegate Brian Smith is also on board. He is ready to go to Taylor County with whatever we need and ask for help. He's on board to do that as well. The Department of Education, my brother works at the Capitol down in Charleston, and so he has been helping me find some grants. He found a $1,000 transportation grant from the Department of Education that's allocated for this sort of thing as well, and so he'll be applying for that on our behalf. The West Virginia Arts and Culture is another direction we can go since it's banned, and so Matt is looking into that one as well. Again, my brother is looking into that one as well for grants available there. Taylor County Commission has said they would be glad to help us. This was our first stop. They said go to the board first and then come to us before you can do anything else. We have already sent letters to the Veterans of Foreign Affairs, the surrounding areas. Amanda Bice from West Taylor has so graciously hand-delivered all the Veterans Affairs letters. She went to the state meeting, so she hand-delivered all of those and anticipates them being willing to help. American Legion letters have been mailed, and their meetings are coming up the end of this month, from my understanding. And the kids. The kids will do whatever we ask them to do in order to make this happen. So we already have set Mariana's subs. We did it in the spring last year, and it went beautifully. We will do it again. It's scheduled already for the beginning of September for that to happen. Some other discussion that has come out recently is we were have the kids do a fill my music note. Basically, it's a treble clef on a paper. There's little bubbles on the treble clef, and it's like $1, $5, $10, $100, whatever. The plan is to make their treble clef come up with a total of per person cost. So $6.45 is whatever the bubbles on that treble clef will be, and they'll fill them in as people give them money. So if a friend gives them $1, they can fill in a $1 bubble. If a neighbor gives them $100, they can fill in their $100 bubble. Not only will do that, we anticipate doing a very large music note for the whole band in general. So if community members, instead of reaching out to a kid, wants to reach out to the band directly, they're welcome to do that. And we are hoping to fill in our bubbles through the community and our giant music note that we'll have in the band room. 3 additional fundraising events that we have discussed at length is the Parents' Night Out, which is a babysitting event. Purse Bingo, which we have a couple parents gung-ho to do that. I am not in that one. That's somebody else. And then a craft show, hosting a craft show. So all of these are ones that we plan on doing between now and before November. We've got a busy fall coming up. Our parents are willing to do it. Our kids are on board. We'll do what we need to do to get everything paid for. But we're here tonight to ask for your help. I don't know what kind of budget this is, and I don't know where to start.
So, wonderful. This is just amazing and so exciting, and trying to control my emotions here. But would you have I saw where there's like timelines where you have to have deposits and things like that. So would you have a better idea on July 22nd's agenda, or like what are your time frames when you need to have different deposits and partial payments and things like that to help us?
Sure. The charter bus deposit has been made. We've already made that as for the funds that Van Boosters already had, which was $1,000. So we've already paid that. We've paid we have a check ready to mail to the tour company, which is a $500 deposit. That's also already done. The tour company recognizes that this is a short stint of time that we will be trying to come up with all the funding. They are being very generous with the timelines. He was like, listen, beginning of your school starts when? And we said end of August. And so he said, great, let me know beginning of September, middle of September, your final numbers. I'll need a hotel list of names by middle of October or beginning of October. And then, yeah, so the timelines are pretty close to it, and they're being extremely gracious with timelines.
So by
So you would say maybe like September 15th?
Middle
or-
September
okay.
would be a good time frame, yep.
so they're not going to reserve your hotel rooms till
Oh,
the
yes.
beginning of
No,
October?
they'll pay for everything and reserve it now. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep, they got that all under
Alright.
control.
But I think we need to be mindful of your plans to go to Taylor County Commission, because they want to see what, we're going to contribute first too.
Absolutely.
So I want us to, be mindful of that time frame for them as well. So
Yes. Thank you.
I'm in full support of supporting this venture. For one, as she said, there are our children have this opportunity. It's also an educational trip, and
Without a doubt.
I think that it would be crazy not to support this monetarily, with the county that we live in being as patriotic as we are in our roots, and we need to really continue to lead our kids down that path of honoring our veterans and understanding where we come from in our roots.
Yes.
I've heard people that have been on the Memorial Day committee say we need to continue to grow our young adults up into, the volunteerism of the Memorial Day. And so I just think going for the Veterans Day invitation that they've had is just right up, the communities, right up our alley of the community that we live in. So I'm in full support, and I believe that we should definitely help with this venture. I have a question for our financial person, though. I'm pulling at threads here. When it comes to budgeting for this amount, and for the purpose that we're looking at it for, is there anything in our levy that could assist with these funds.
Sorry, that's what I was back here trying to do rapidly, was to look through some reports real fast to see where we were at because we're here at the end of the year, to see what we're pulling forward into this year. So, give me just 1 second.
I'm trying to
To
remember.
answer, oh,
Trying
my
to
Lord,
remember
that's-
all the line items in our levy that we had,
Yeah.
and wondering if there's what line item this might fit into.
So-
There is I was going to say, there is a line item in the levy, one of the 13 items on the levy that specifically earmarks funds for such things as this activity. We can certainly look at finding some funds from that to contribute, but I don't want to miss an opportunity if I can just jump in real quick. This is, to clarify, this is representing the state, right? This
Correct.
isn't
Oh, yeah.
This
Yeah.
isn't just one of many
Absolutely.
going from the state. We're all now going from West Virginia. This is us,
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
beyond pleased to learn that detail that I hope is in the newspaper when you report on that. Just saying. But I don't want to miss the opportunity. I know that what small contribution I might be able to do, personal commitment, is I know that I mentioned you have a sub-sale. I will commit to your first purchase for my administrative council meeting that happens in September. We will treat the administrators to a meeting and provide their lunch, and apparently September's lunch is going to be whatever that Marina's sub-sale.
Mariana subs, you won't be disappointed. They are
So-
phenomenal.
So we'll communicate, so
Thank you.
I can give you an approximate number, and you can let me know how soon I need to let you have that number. But please mark me down for at least that contribution.
Okay.
That has nothing to do with our board, but I'm excited for you, and excited, not the least bit surprised that our Taylor County Middle School band
You're not either.
and beyond, it'll be, Washington DC doesn't realize what they're getting.
That's right. That's right.
And so I'm serving as a member of the Memorial Day Parade Committee, as you know, and I too am trying to get the county to return to some of that, the wearing all white, the honor court we introduced, and participating in those kind of activities. But I'm not trying to steal anybody's information, but put me down for at least a September order of your subs, and we'll see where that goes. If it's a popular thing, perhaps another meeting as well, but I'll let my recipients of that lunch make that call for us. But
Thank you.
please allow me to be the first of your responders tonight for that. And I don't know exactly what your ultimate ask will be, because you've just mentioned you have a lot of people that you're approaching, and a lot of people that have already made commitments. And so what I would ask,
Yep.
Ms. Garvin, is that,
Well,
go ahead.
mine ask,
Yes.
after going, is what are you asking for tonight so that you can go and try to find the rest?
Ultimately, we would request from the board if we could do half, and then we will figure out the other half, which is a big number.
Minus an order from subs for
Right.
September.
And based on this number, half is approximately 37,000?
That's correct. So I should mention that the number that we have written down as 85 participants, when we scheduled or filled out the registration form with the tour company, he told us to estimate less the number of possible participants. The max number of participants we calculate as 99. If every single person from 5th grade continues on into the 6th grade band, and if every single person is permitted to go, would be 99. It's highly unlikely. A lot of some 5th grade will likely fall back, and that's okay, to pursue other passions, and that's okay. And then some may not even be permitted to go from their family, and that's okay too. And so our estimate was roughly 85. The tour company was like, we can add, but it's really hard to subtract because of hotel rooms specifically. So we're going with 85 as our estimate.
One, I want to look at our financial manager, trying to think, and see if we can get his nod on this. Out of the levy, I mean, honestly, if you look at a community, there's so many opinions on having levies, and, you know, we can't operate without a levy in this
Right.
county.
Right.
And I feel that our taxpayers would look at this venture and say, absolutely, that's something that I want to put my tax money towards, as directly towards our children.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking at our financial manager to see if he's going to say that we're good to go.
What I would
with
say
that,
at this point,
or-
I think I'm gonna,
wanna wait?
I wanna caution you, let me recommend that we work together to come up with that definitive number, and I can add it as a recommendation on your forthcoming agenda that will also meet their timeline.
I was willing to make a motion.
We cannot do that tonight because it's not listed that way on the agenda. The community and taxpayers need to know that if we were going to contribute funds or monies or anything like that, it just says TCMS band.
That's why I'm
So
suggesting allow me to put the amount of money.
We
in
have
it.
to be cautious.
I sort of disagree with that, but I'm fine either way.
That way I can put a definitive number on there so the community does know. I don't think anyone on the board, I don't hear anyone on the board saying, we don't like this idea. I just think that we want to make sure that we're fulfilling that
I'm okay with
expectation
that,
as well.
as long as
Yeah,
we get it on there.
yes, ma'am.
soon.
Yes, ma'am, I will commit to that.
I apologize, I'm not trying
Oh,
to
sorry.
have a side conversation with her. So July 22nd would be our next one. Would you be okay with, like, the 30th or the 23rd or something like that, depending on when theirs is? Would that be too late for you to go to them?
No, that would be okay.
Okay.
Yep.
That was my question, was if you were to put it on the agenda for the next one, which is on the 22nd, would that give her sufficient time to go to the commission afterwards?
Well, it's a great question. My other suggestion is, depending on your hard deadline, if the 22nd is the only option we have, and then you could go to the commission after you get the decision made by this board, or you could wait till the very next one. You know, we have a couple in August, and I'm not trying to delay. I'm just trying to make sure it's definitive for the general public to know what this group is doing. But then they can also hear, you'll also be able to bring to us whatever you learned from the commission or your other, you see what I'm trying to do is, let's gather everything in the binder is a great way to start this introduction of the process, and so well done. So I'm just offering whatever sequence you are, I'll just ask Mr. Chido and you, may I call you Valerie?
Of course.
Valerie, if you will work with me and keep me posted on when and how much
Okay.
that you're requesting, and I can, the recommendation comes from me. The board then makes a decision if that is an acceptable amount. So that's how that sequence is supposed to work. So I think that would be.
The county commission has made it clear not to come to them until a decision is made here.
Okay, so the 22nd
So
sounds
I-
like, well, I'll put that,
Yes,
we'll
sorry.
talk, we'll still talk. Correct. So
Okay.
with your information, please make sure that we have a definitive number by Monday or Tuesday of next week, so I can get that on the agenda for the following. I must have it to them by Thursday of next week. So let's say by Wednesday, if I have that to put on the agenda, so I can get that to these ladies and gentlemen.
Okay.
There's just that requirement to get that on to them on time for 3 days before their next meeting.
Okay.
When I asked you September 15th, I mean, I already thought in my head September 1st.
Right.
So that's
Yeah, beginning of September. Yeah. Yeah. Perfect.
I think I'm okay with waiting. I just want to really support this. But I
Right.
think if we're going to have, I'm just going to try to help people out that come after you in the future. If we're going to have situations like this, that honestly, November's pretty quick. I
It
mean,
is.
it's right around the corner.
It is. We were kind of shocked by that.
And so I feel like this is an imminent type of issue that maybe we should be able to move on. So if you kind of know what somebody is coming to the board under information for, if you know what their presentation was about, try to put more on the agenda, so that way if we get into a position where we have to make an emotion, or we would like to make a motion, then we can.
Yeah, because
'Cause
if
I
it
would've
said
liked-
like, consider contributing to trip or something like that, we can, but we can't when it's just blanket like that.
Yeah. I mean,
Not you, but.
No, I got you. I got you. Yeah, that makes sense. Makes
because I mean,
sense.
there's,
get
Yeah, I might also point out that you are contacting Senator Randy Smith, but we have 3 other senators that you can contact
You know
and
what?
should.
Yes,
you know any?
and I have contacted them, but I literally copied and pasted. You know one? Yeah, I've copied and pasted from my notes, and I completely forgot to put in your son's name. I'm so sorry, but I have spoken to him directly.
You left him out?
Okay, the deal's off. The
I
deal's
know.
off.
I'm so sorry.
No doubt whatsoever that you're doing your due diligence on this, on everything you've put on here.
Nicely prepared.
Thanks.
I'm
Carrie did a
impressed.
great job with the packets.
I'm impressed that you've done all this work since when? The end of April?
Yes. Yep. But it's been a busy couple months.
We were a little nervous with the timeline because I told her, I said, if we had learned about this like in January, a lot more time to prepare and everything, but, that's like I said before I turn it over to Val, it's really easy to work when you have people that are really to work for you and the kids. So I'll be honest, these ladies right here are workhorses. They make my job easy and enjoyable. I'm not sugarcoating.
When you have the kids involved as well, I mean, when they're doing the sub-cells, that definitely, I remember going to DC when I was in 6th or 7th grade. We were sitting outside Kmart selling apple pies and,
Yeah.
you know, like we knew what we were doing, like then they're gonna know.
Yeah.
They're gonna be excited.
Yep.
I have one more question.
Please.
So you said that one dinner cruise was formal?
Semi-formal.
Okay.
Yeah, not jeans.
Oh, okay. Wanted to make sure that if there were kids in the band that maybe couldn't afford.
Boosters
some-
will cover it.
But we also have something at the high school that the principal keeps over there as some sort of a closet for some formal type of wear too, that
Perfect.
maybe.
I
you
believe
guys
Actually,
look into.
Mrs.
Mr.
Chido.
Chido, Mr.
Yeah,
Chido.
I was gonna say, I will add, my wife started a couple years ago. She, myself included, we keep a small clothing closet
Okay.
for our students. When we perform concerts, we teach them about concert etiquette and dressing appropriately to look like the performer. So I can assure you that any student that may not
Okay.
have that type of outfit will be taken care of by one of us.
Okay, good.
Y'all are phenomenal. Thank you for all of this work.
He'll get it on there, we'll get it.
Yeah,
Perfect. Thank you.
so,
It's our pleasure, and we're so excited. Just and both of you mentioned the Memorial Day Committee, and it hit me as we're standing here. This is how my brain works, and I apologize. It would be really cool if the Memorial Day Parade, when our band carries our banner, our Taylor County Middle School Marching Knights banner, to have a banner that says Taylor County Middle School Marching Knights, Grafton, West Virginia, home of the 150 something Memorial Day Parade. It'd be neat to have that part on there as an advertisement for our own county and our own for the parade too. So that might be something we have to look into for sure.
okay.
For the committee? Okay, perfect. Thank you. The 14th. Let me write that down. 'Cause I don't- Got it.
7.
All right.
She says, I don't know. It's in my phone.
Well, I just want to say congratulations to your band.
Yeah.
Congratulations for this honor, and congratulations on all the hard work that you guys put in, and all the work that you put in so far to being able to make it on this trip, so
Yeah.
thank
Okay.
you.
Well, thank you for having us
Right.
and hearing us out. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for everything. All right, go find a boat to sit on, y'all. There's a downbeat someplace waiting for you, I'm sure. Okay, that brings us to superintendent's updates, data reveals, shout-outs for successes, and in case you haven't heard.
Thank you, Ms. Garvin. As you can see, we have been recognizing the retirees. There were 10 in total. Some of them had conflicts with this evening, but we will still make sure their certificates and information will be provided to them. We appreciate having them this evening and their guests. Thank you very much, middle school representative or marching band people. And band member, maybe, leaving us right there. Very good. Also, and of course, this is definitely a representation of the shout-outs for successes, both the retirees as well as this group's identification as a representative of our state. I'm I did not realize it was to that magnitude, and I'm very pleased for them. I provided also the handout. You should have received another brief update or overview of the updates from the various campuses we have, starting with Anna Jarvis. I'm sure you remember I sent you the text and the little video clip where we actually had footers being poured. I just happened to be driving by at the time the first truck pulled in, and I flipped around the corner and walked across the construction site without permission, I guess, but said, "Are you about to pour concrete? May I take a video of that? Because I've been waiting since the 27th of January." And they said, "Sure, come, let's do this." So I was like a kid in a candy shop, and they were very accommodating. That is, as you can see, the section referring to Section B of the building, the two-story section with most of the classroom section. The frontmost east corner would be the administrative component, is Section A, and behind it would be the commons area, cafeteria, and gymnasium would be Section C. So right now, you are driving by and seeing the concrete blocks being aligned for that first score that they'll put on the footer. We do remember that we can't go any higher than the intended height of the cornerstone in accordance with that other ceremony, but they are well aware of that. They just kind of smiled at me when I said, "Don't forget the cornerstone, don't forget the cornerstone." But of course, they are well of that. They've been doing this for many more years than myself. Flemington Elementary School has two things. The next steps have been initiated regarding the advertisement portion of the recently approved and much needed replacement of the HVAC roof units. That will be followed by, as you're aware, the advertisement goes out. Then we interview for architectural firms to be the ones that win the bid for proceeding with that. Then we have a pre-bid with the potential contractors, just like the other process. You're all familiar with this drill. But all of those are in the offing in the next couple weeks and months. And then the initiation of the work that is needed to be done. Also, a quick update. I'm sorry to tell you that we continue to make attempts to make contact with more updates regarding the concession stand at Flemington. I will continue to do so, but I have not been successful to date. We are still waiting. I think the last time I reported to you that I was told that we were at the mercy of waiting until after the ending of the baseball playoff season, and I think we're in the throes of that now. So hopefully by the next meeting we'll be able to speak to that. West Taylor, as I mentioned, we have ordered and are planning, and you have already approved the installation of a weather-type canopy for the back. It is in back order by the manufacturers until maybe October. That doesn't mean that the construction company can't start the infrastructure placement for the poles and things, and they have assured us they can do that while keeping it safe for people to pass through there, waiting for that'll happen in October. Taylor County Middle School, the lower parking lot has now been paved. Lines have been painted so that it will be addressing and accommodating the traffic flow for the parent pickup that we're doing. In addition, they are I just spoke to Ms. Fluharty-Gottlieb today again, and she has indicated that they are crafting some ideas, sketching out some places where they can increase some of the outside, weather permitting activities for students to take advantage of such things as, and I'll be providing you that information. I have not seen any kind of sketches and things, but we're trying to make sure all those were within sight of the cameras for security reasons. So in case there is an accident for any of the outside activities, we can at least have it recorded for the BRIM. Also, Grafton High School, the work on the new facilities, the new restroom facilities by the baseball field, I believe, are in process, and they are scheduled to be finished in time for the planned paving of that area. Lastly, for Grafton High School, the final of the doors that are being replaced on the Sandboard entrance there on the westmost end of the building. Part of them were finished with the last board meeting. I believe the others are being finished this week. That's what I've been told. And lastly, I did receive a text just yesterday, exciting news, kinda, that we had a visitor beyond deer and other kind of wildlife in the form of a black bear. And so I understand, I've heard reports that they're across the county from time to time. And I have a couple pictures that were sent to me by our groundskeeper, Mr. Garrison, who sent me a picture of that just to let us know we had a new visitor. But and so there you have the updates about our what I call our all of our campuses, including Camp Tolls. Thank you for your time tonight. Oh, I don't know that that's been started yet, but we're also, you had approved the additional parking, which is opposite the current visitors in the visitor circle, opposite and closer to the building. I went out and walked that when you had questions about that, and there's significant depth in that yard there. I too had that question, but I can assure you there's ample space for a parking area to be there without, it's not against the building, for instance. So we're good to go with that.
Yeah, I approved it, but
Thank you.
I'm really worried about it. I'm not,
Okay.
until it's finished, I'm
I
going to be
believe
hoping
once-
and crossing my
here-
fingers that it's okay.
Here is my speculation. You have to tear it up to pretty it up, but once that's finished and that grass grows back around that, just like other construction areas, you'll be pleased, and over time, people won't even realize we didn't have that to begin with.
I'm just worried about a lot of things on it, so
Yeah,
I'm
well,
anxious to see what it looks like.
I
I'm worried
appreciate-
about the safety of it being too close to the school. I'm worried about just the taking away from the look of the school, just
Yeah.
everything, but it'll probably be fine.
My guess is,
I voted for it. I can't take it back now.
I share those concerns, but that's another reason that you should, I share your concerns, and that's another reason to be assured that we won't just throw a piece of paving there and leave it alone. Thank you, Ms. Garvin.
Thank you. Do we have any board member updates or committee meeting reports? Delightful. Moving into the 2000 series minutes, policies, contracts, and agreements. The superintendent respectfully requests approval of the minutes from the regular meeting on June 24th, 2025. Mr. Daddy moves. Mrs. Gallo seconds. Questions? All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes. We have a couple of policies and codes in the first reading, a couple more in the second reading, and a whole pile of them in the third reading. The third reading is the piece that we'll be taking action on this evening. The superintendent respectfully requests approval of items 2006 through 2027 in the 2000 series.
Moved. Second.
Mr. Taylor moves. Mrs. Knott seconds. Questions?
I do have one.
Taylor Knotts. Yes, I'm sorry.
I have one.
Mhm.
Now, this is third reading, and I believe I read this policy before on the first, but before I vote final on it, we don't have them. Do you still have them with you? I want someone to read to me the 8390, the one on the animals. Do we have it?
Mm.
It's been a few meetings since I read that one.
It's in the file I left at home.
What's it permit? That's what I want to know. And what's, I want to make sure that it permits therapy dogs, because we've had therapy dogs in our schools before that have been brought in. I don't want us to utilize those, you know what I mean? I want to make sure it permits us to use, it doesn't say that we can't, I'm sure it doesn't, but bomb dogs or drug dogs, that we can still bring them in. Making sure of the language, that we're not, I'm
So
sure it's a state policy, so.
So what is the question?
I want to make sure what it's permitting us and what it's maybe telling us we can't do. Are we still permitted to have therapy dogs? We've had therapy dogs in our schools. Are we, what about support animals for our, if a staff member has a support animal? Is it telling us we can't have that? I'm sure it's not telling us we can't, you know, it's going to still permit other support animals for students if needed. I'm sure it's not taking that away.
It does not. It addresses the ADA issues, allowing students, so emotional support dogs, it says, provide competence to student but are not trained to perform the specific task. Definition does not include psychiatric service animals who are properly trained and certified as a service animal.
Okay,
It
for
does,
students and staff,
correct. As
they'll
long as they
they'll
have,
be still permitted.
as long as they are bona fide certified and not just, hey, this
Okay.
is my pet, and so
Good,
trust
good,
me,
good.
he's an
Yeah,
emotional support dog.
they,
There needs to be
gotcha,
documentation that they provide,
yep,
and that's true of all those different categories.
okay, good. And what about if we wanted to have, an educational day for our students? Like, sometimes at the middle school, we bring in the helicopters, and we want to have a therapy dog or something like that. Are
It
we
does
still
not
permitted?
restrict that, but there are certain, I'm trying to find to answer your question. It does say that taking into consideration that some animals can cause and exacerbate allergies and reasons.
Right.
And so in those cases, may permit, be present in classroom to support curriculum-related projects such as you're suggesting. It allows
Yeah.
that, but it needs to be cleared. And if parents are so inclined that they say,
My child can't.
my child
or-
cannot do that, then we
Okay.
simply make a we don't say, don't come to school. We
Okay.
make accommodations not to have him or her participate in that activity.
I wanted to make sure of that,
Yeah,
that we could still do that. And then bomb dogs, of course, and drug dogs, of course.
correct. And it talks about the
None.
documentation, certification as the various categories.
Okay,
Um,
I just wanted to make sure because it'd been probably a month since I've read down through those, and before I vote. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the information, just to clarify for you, this version was merely an updated piece that had the inserts that the state was really, it was the kind of a non-negotiable part that supersedes anything we were talking about. It just shores up those kinds of things for that. That's what
Right.
most of these policy revisions are doing.
Yeah, that's what I said. If it's from the state, there's really nothing we can do, but I wanted to
Right.
clarify.
But as I've read through them and we put them together what I did is I took our current policy, that's where you see all the different colors that infuses those pieces that have been brought to our attention. And as I read through those, if something bubbled to the top like, that's not a good thing, we don't want to do that, or that's awkward, yeah, it was, we revisited or revised it, so I didn't change the state's dictates, if you will. I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Resolved that the bylaws and policies printed and codified in the comprehensive document entitled Bylaws and Policies of the Taylor County Board of Education are hereby adopted and that all bylaws and policies heretofore adopted by the Taylor County Board are hereby rescinded. Further be it resolved that in the event any policy, any part of a policy or section of the bylaws is judged to be inconsistent with law, inoperative by a court or competent jurisdiction, or is invalidated by a policy or contract duly adopted by this board, the remaining bylaws, policies, and parts of policies shall remain in full effect. That is quickly becoming my favorite thing to do.
And we enjoy it.
All right, continuing on in the 2000 series, got some MOUs. The superintendent respectfully requests approval of items 2028 through 2032 in the 2000 series.
Moved.
Mrs. Gallo moves, Mr. Dowdy seconds. Questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Excellent, motion passes 5-0. 3000 series consent calendar, purchase orders for the central office and transportation, and a request to use facilities. Superintendent respectfully requests approval of items 3000 through 3002 in the 3000 series.
Moved.
Mr. Taylor moves, Mrs. Gallo seconds. Questions? All those in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Motion passes. Bringing us abruptly to the 4000 series financial, budget supplements and vouchers payable. Mr. Dolan, tell us some things.
All right. Inside of your packet, there was in the 4000 series, we had 2 budget supplements. We received 2 grants right there at the beginning of the month of July. One of them was for the LEA Strive Conference. The other was for a grant award for CPR instruction to be conducted in our high schools. It was part of West Virginia Code 18-5-51 that was passed during the legislative session of 2023, and they just now released that grant to us. So $740 will be going to help teach CPR in our high schools. Before the meeting, we handed out the packets of schedule of checks to be written and schedule of checks that had already been written, just to cover all of our bills here for the first part of July and the new year, and some were bills from the month of June to finish out our FY25 year.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
The superintendent respectfully requests approval of items in the 4,000 series. Mr. Dowdy moves. I will second. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
That was Taylor Downey.
All right, we are now in the 5,000 series, and item 5,000 is up for a separate vote.
I will now excuse myself.
The superintendent respectfully asks for approval of item 5,000 in the 5,000 series. Mr. Dowdy moves. Mr. Taylor seconds. Questions? Concerns?
Do we need to debate?
It's a big debate. All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes 4-0. Congratulations, young man. Go get your mom and tell her she can come back in the room, would you?
Well, did you hear the comment at the beginning of the meeting that those middle school students, 7th grade kids about killed her? That didn't change, that didn't change your mind at all?
That was your one opportunity to bail.
No, we already approved it. You
That's
can't
right.
now. Well, I guess you could until he signed his contract,
I
right?
did, but
That's true.
don't give him any ideas. Just hush. All right, continuing with the 5,000 series, we have a number of extracurricular, some additional employment, some extracurricular, extra duty, some resignations, and some service personnel employment, some transfers, some leave of absence, and some more resignations. The superintendent respectfully requests approval of items 5,001 through 5,026 in the 5,000 series.
Moved.
Mrs. Gallo moves.
Second.
Mrs. Knott seconds. Questions, comments, concerns? All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Brings us to the 8,000 series, board member comments and discussion. The first one here is a reminder of the importance of completing our board member self-assessment. I sent the link. I have 4 responses, one of which I know is mine because I can see the answers. So
It's me.
I thought it might be.
I'm the problem, it's me.
Do you need me to resend the link?
Why, thank you for your confession.
Yeah, please do.
Okay, who's got the $20 bill?
Okay. I will resend the link, and the results and the discussion will be up on the next agenda, also here in the 8,000 series.
You never know what I'm gonna do.
It's all right.
Anybody else have any questions or concerns about that particular level of self-assessment? Okay. That brings us to the still in the 8,000 series, the Dean of Students. Now, it's my understanding that this has returned to this agenda as Dr. Decker has some information for us. Unfortunately, she's not here, so I'm gonna have to call her. So now I gotta remember how the phone works.
I can help. Oh,
Is this gonna be a long one? Cause can we take a quick, brief break, or is
Yeah,
this just gonna? Yeah.
we'll take a brief facilities break.
You might be able to talk
for us about the Dean of Students position. However, I'm gonna ask you to hold on that, as Mrs. Knox has had to step out of the room momentarily, so as soon as she comes back, we wanna know what you know.
Sounds great. I have you on the live stream, so I've been watching you the whole time, so I can see when she comes back.
Oh, okay.
You'll need to, she'll need that.
Is that more better? Can you talk again, please, Dr. Decker?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can. I moved my microphone closer to the phone and turned it on, so as to try to hear you a little bit better.
Perfect.
I mean, not to be nosy, but like, where are you? I know you're having fun.
Oh, no, well, yes, I'm having great fun. I've been at the facilities conference today, and I will be returning there tomorrow. So it's been a wonderful day with our custodians and our maintenance crew.
Delightful.
Thank
All
you.
right, we are reassembled. Tell us some things, Dr. Decker.
Great. So I apologize. Last meeting that I was actually listening, but had spotty service, so I could not get information to you as quickly as I needed to as questions were coming up. So I wanted to just clarify some information. So during last meeting, the discussion of the Dean of Students came up regarding if we do not abolish it, do we need to post it? And so I think there was a little bit of misunderstanding in that. So if you look at Taylor County Policy 3132 regarding vacancies, it clearly tells us that if we have openings established, existing, or newly created, we have to follow a certain process. And the very first thing we have to do is post the position. And so I think that was a question that didn't get answered in the correct way. So I wanted to make sure that was an understanding to know what I'm supposed to do. So I'm not advocating one way or the other for that. I did not feel like you had the accurate information when you were making your decisions about that position. So I asked Dr. Songs, of course, I was not there, so I think it was a little bit of misinformation. So I said, am I supposed to post the position? What's happening? And so we wanted just to clarify with you all tonight to know the next steps to move forward. And I will say this to you, so the position, this position, of course, was being replaced with the itinerant counselor position, and there are interviews set for that position tomorrow, as we did have certified applicants apply for that position.
So I have a question, just to clarify from me in my mind.
I can't hear. I don't know.
So I have a question. It's
Okay.
it's Melissa Knotts. Thank you. So by what you're saying, that we had that vacated, then we would have to post it. So to me, in my mind, then, it says we wouldn't have any vacant positions that we've chosen not to continue or not to fill in the entire system then.
Correct. Well, this is what the policy 3132 states, that we have to post the position at least one time if it becomes vacant or is new, and then the superintendent determines whether we continue to post it or we fill it with a substitute. And so we do continually post positions that are not filled with full-time employees. For example, if you have looked in the past, and you will see certain positions are posted over and over and over and over and over and over again because they have not been filled by a certified applicant. And so even if we have a long-term substitute in that position, we continually post that position. And I do that because we ran into a situation that we have a position that we have a retired substitute in it, and they reach their maximum amount of days, then we have to prove that we have continually posted that so they can remain in that position past their allotted days for retirement. So we have to do that in case that situation arises. So that is the practice that we follow for all of our positions that are not filled by
or someone that's seeking alternative certification. So yeah, so we should, and that has been since I came into play, about halfway through my first year there, that's when you started seeing the create and abolish on the agenda. So we had clear documentation of positions that we were newly establishing, or if you read 3132 on number, or letter, sorry, letter E, it says nothing provided herein shall prevent the board from eliminating a position. But if we have a position, then we are supposed to at least post it until we get someone to fill it.
So, okay, so then every position that we have on the books, we either have we either have a body in that position, or we will continue to post it over and over and over again.
Yes, correct.
There's not going to ever
Unless
be
it's
positions.
been abolished, right?
Right.
Or we abolish them and they're no longer.
Right, so
Now,
that,
let me say that
abolish
I think
means
this is where
no
it kind of gets a
position.
little bit, it's clear as mud, right? So it doesn't eliminate that we have had that position. So we don't have to recreate a job description. So let's just, for example, say we eliminate, I don't want to say this position because I don't want it to become misunderstood, but so we eliminate any position, and so we need it back. In 6 months, we find that we have an increase in students and we need a 4th grade position back. So all that we do is then recreate a position to be able to post, but we have the job description and all the information needed for that position. We don't have to recreate job description, all of those things. We still have those on file, but it's not a job we are seeking someone to fill.
well, a 4th grade position, that's a little different in my mind, because you've got 4th grade teachers across the county. So you actually have a body in that position. This one's different because there was only one person in it. So we only had one in the county, right? Only one.
At this time, we did. So there was a previous one before at Taylor County Middle School that I believe
Historically.
that job description was still in existence when this, again, all this predates me, but when this Dean of Students was created, and again, this Dean of Students was created for a 2-year time span, which it does not follow code either. So again, that's why I feel like there's been some confusion. So Howard Super will tell you that when you create a position, you can't say you're creating a position for 1 or 2 years. You have that position that you have to post and fill until you do one of 2 things. You rip that person out of it and then you abolish it on a board agenda, or you continue to have to post it and fill it.
I know, abolish seems like the wrong word. Like, abolish seems like the wrong word, like unused or unallocated, or not allocated, or something else other than abolished.
It isn't.
We're abolishing the job opening right now. We can always bring it back anytime.
I was going to say, it's not to be interpreted with making it extinct. I think that's what that word
means
must
to me.
trigger to you. Abolish
Right.
suggests extinction. So that's not what we're finding out. So just to clarify, that was it.
That's where my thoughts went when
I was
this
not
was
make,
discussed,
I
yeah.
feel like I didn't
Mine
make
too.
myself clear last time we met. It was no intent to make something extinct. It was just that we were trying to fill code at that particular time.
Yeah, and I wasn't going to vote to abolish and make it extinct. That
It was
wasn't
never,
what I wanted
so
to do.
that perhaps we weren't clear on making sure that, I didn't realize that triggered I didn't realize that's where you went.
Yeah, that's where I went. I mean,
That's where I went.
that was where my thought was, that if we abolished, then if the need came up, we would have to have it on the agenda to create the position, then post it, and then that was where my thoughts were. I don't know
That's
if
where
anyone
mine
else
were.
was, but
Yep.
You are correct in that. I mean, that is the process we have been following to again, clearly define when we are creating positions to be posted, and when also to clearly outline for finance that we are adding a line that we have to pay. So all of these are positions that we have to account for and to demonstrate when we have someone that we have to add to the payroll. So those are kinds of trying to create clear lines of when we are paying things out and adding and taking away.
But not permanently, depending on need. That's all that was supposed to be clarified, and I will own the poor clarification in Dr. Decker's absence.
So where does that leave us now then? Do we need to repeal this and look at this again now that we have a better understanding?
That was my question. That was really my question to you as to how you wanted me to move forward with this position. So
Well,
if I think you can give a recommendation to Dr. Stallings to do one of two, you have obviously have two options. You can say it needs to be posted, or you can say put it on the next agenda to abolish. Again, that word I know is a strong word, but it's just to eliminate it at this moment, and of course it can be brought back at any time.
well, I feel, I might be wrong, but I have a gut feeling that the discussion needs to continue, because we're going to come to some points to where we might not always disagree. I might not always agree with the superintendent all the time on your thought process at all times. I think there may be some people.
That's why there's not one person sitting here. There's
I
a
think there
group.
may be some people on the board that would like to pursue the conversation of keeping and still remaining
May I then-
staffing that position.
Am I hearing a recommendation to put on the agenda, to continue the discussion for the next agenda?
And it might
What's-
come out of 3-5, one way or the other.
What's
I
your
don't know.
pleasure?
Yeah,
I mean, a 3-2, or one way or the other, sorry.
my feeling on the matter is that the faculty of that school would still like to have that position filled.
Without question, and that was never
and-
intended to be
and it- you know,
the
that's,
suggestion otherwise.
yeah, but that's, I really think that it's a felt need at that school, whether the counselor's position helps with that or not. I think the faculty still wants it.
Well, I think at some point, not just now, but before this evening's discussion, a clarification happened. My intent was to request, just to clarify, we recently met with the staff of another faculty about another concern that was raised and you had shared with me. Likewise, I would like the opportunity to at least do something similar with that group and say, okay, what is it? How are we crafting? Where are we moving? And so I can bring that to your attention as well. I'm not by any means suggesting that the faculty would be ignored, nor was that my intent ever. I feel like I need to give myself credit for that because that's not who I am. I may be interpreted that way by people to hear me say, no, you can't. But that's not ever my, thank you. I wasn't looking for a compliment, but it sure was nice to hear.
But we're
my
not
intent-
always going to disagree
Well,
at all, 100%.
indeed. My goal, as I have told you on countless times, and not about this topic only, is that as we are discovering and reading and understanding policy and code, I have an obligation. You know, some of it I will tell you up front I don't like, but we're still doing it because that's it. No one says, "What do you think, John Stallings? You want to do that?" No, they say this is your expectation. This is just like the policies you just approved. You know, not everyone's going to like every one of them, but we try to fulfill them until such time as they are changed. So that's why this is coming back. I apologized also to Dr. Decker because, like I said a moment ago, I think I did a poor job of making that clarification crystal.
And if I may, for me, it's really about setting the precedent of how we create and abolish jobs and fill and post jobs. For me, it's not about one particular job. I feel like I just needed to explain the process so that we are following the proper procedure for creating jobs, posting jobs, and removing jobs that we no longer have a need for. It would just be an example of if we did not have a need for, like I said, a fourth grade or a kindergarten position, we would abolish a kindergarten position or a fourth grade position at XYZ school for that year if we didn't need it. And then again, we would bring it back when we needed the numbers again. So that just takes that number off of the book and then puts it back on when we need it to clarify. As I've just spent the last week reviewing vacancy and filling data from 2017 until now. And so I think it's just really important that we keep accurate numbers to know how much local funding we are having to pay over the formula. So when we are having to make some tough decisions about financial decisions regarding that type of thing, during Richmond transfer season, we have an accurate count of what we are paying for through Taylor County funding and school aid funding. So it's kind of just creating clear lines for me. It's not about any particular position, it's just clear lines.
I think to clarify, yes, indeed, that was not by, and if anyone interpreted that as an attack on a specific position, that is clearly not what was intended.
And we're all just trying to do our best, or what we think is best. All of us are.
And I'm sorry, clarify for me, you said, yes, we had qualified candidates for the counselor position and those interviews are happening?
Yes, ma'am, they're happening tomorrow.
Okay.
So my goal is that they would be on the next agenda. I believe I will get a recommendation from that group that is interviewing by the deadline of Monday to add that position on to the next agenda.
Those are scheduled tomorrow afternoon. Thank you, Dr. Decker.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Decker. Do y'all feel like we want to continue this discussion, or does anybody have a feeling on this? Still a lot of new information to process to make sure that we're using the same vocabulary, maybe without all the, where's the word at? Confirmation bias.
I'm fine now with the explanations that were given, but
Okay.
I do think we need to put on the agenda a discussion on along with our superintendent, discuss if we are, what each board member feels in their heart is best
Well-
for AJ.
I think what I'm trying to clarify, though, is we either have one of two options right now, right? That we have to make a decision for the next agenda, correct?
Either
That-
abolish the position.
We have to abolish the position or we have to post it.
Correct.
So,
So, I mean, it's pretty important how are we
How-
having it listed
how
on
we
the
word
agenda?
this.
So, my question to you is then, the way this is listed on the agenda, well, it does list it. We can have a full-out discussion on it tonight then, the way that is
We
listed.
can?
I was thinking we needed to put it on another one.
And then whatever the,
So then the way this is listed on the agenda tonight, we don't have to come back for a discussion on it. We
No.
can discuss it tonight,
and then
so I
if
think,
there's action that needs to be taken,
yep.
we can go from there. Okay? Does anybody want to start that discussion?
Well, wait a minute. I'm going to complicate and muddy the waters here a minute. I've been at this a long time. So it says Dean of Students position. If we direct him to do something based on a discussion we're about to have, we are making a decision to direct him to do something, whereas with the TCMS band, we couldn't make any type of movement at all based on the way it was listed. TCMS band, Dean of Students position? Did we had to have to have something else in addition to that? Or is because it's not really a monetary deal, we can direct that movement for next time? Does that make sense, what I'm saying?
It-
So we were not allowed to make any decision on TCMS band. Neither one of them have an actionable
Right.
dash out from it.
So
So
we,
can we have we can have a discussion, but can we direct you to put something else on a decision for an agenda next time, is what I'm asking. I mean, I disagree with that in my soul, but if that's what the state's telling us to do, I guess we gotta do it. I mean,
I can always put something on the agenda. I can always do that. I can always add something to the agenda back and direct it. That's how my recommendations appear.
do the,
It could be a recommendation to,
I guess I'm playing it.
almost like we did last week, or whenever that was, last 2 weeks ago, where it just reopened the same discussion.
No, I agree with you.
Just like we did the first time.
Yeah, it would be my interpretation that we can't really take an action tonight, but that we can certainly discuss what we think
Yep.
we ought to do.
Well, but if you are just, be careful not to discuss preemptively what I might put on the agenda. You wanna wait till something's recommended to, let's say I do, just to repeat what it said initially. We initially had, what was the word?
abolish.
Let me put, this is for instance, I put that on the agenda for any position. It would simply prompt a discussion no different than last time. Now, however, by that time, because it's tonight's convocation, you'll be better educated on the intent of the word abolish and the process that could prompt discussion and a vote, because it would be introduced on the agenda as a recommendation to be voted on.
So,
And that doesn't require you to do anything other than I'm hearing that you may be open to further discussing it. So there's your foot in the door to revisit that. Does that make sense?
I am not,
It doesn't guarantee anything other than it's on the agenda, just like, the gentleman we just congratulated was, he was on there as a recommendation. You could just as easily said, we are not approving that. A recommendation to hire, to employ, to approve an agreement, anything I put on the agenda is a recommendation for you to consider whether this or that. And there are 5 thises or that's, depends on what combination happens to be per item. That's all repeat.
I know, and I know what you're saying. I'm not arguing with you. Trust me, I'm not arguing with you. It's to, I just feel like over the years, things change so quickly at the state that I know numerous times boards have been told that if, yeah, you can make a motion. Any board member at any time can make a motion. We've been told that many, 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 many times along the way. And now it just seems like if it's not on the agenda, you can't, I mean, why in the world have a board then if
Well,
you,
I do have an answer for
you know what I mean?
I do, and I do, as you'll remember, Mr. Sufer was here when, actually before, I believe the words he used that night were, I happened to be invited to that
I was
meeting.
at that meeting.
And
I remember.
you said something, someone mentioned, well, Dr. Stallings is our new superintendent, and I believe his words were, because it caught me off guard, he said, you may have signed a contract with him, but until he is crowned, meaning sworn in, he is not your superintendent. You may have a signed contract between you and he, but he is not your superintendent. And then he went on to talk about the fact that the Board of Education's role is to respond, and I'm not trying to demean you, it is the essential component of the process, is to respond either positively or negatively based on your majority vote of recommendations provided to you by your superintendent, not John Stallings, whoever he or she might be. So in order for me to make that opportunity available to you, I have to put it on your agenda. Mrs. Gallows mentioned that multiple times. But the expectation is, trying to make it, I'm boiling it down for me. Unless it's on the agenda, you're not supposed to be even discussing and/or voting on something of that nature. And that doesn't say, I have all the power. It just means my responsibility is to make sure that stuff's on the agenda. And you can tell me during your discussion, we would like to have you add things or consider things because we'd like to have you, I think the word you use off of Mr. Taylor's, we'd like you to investigate that more. Perfectly legitimate. And then my job is to figure out what it is that the data is suggesting, and then I culminate and formulate some kind of an item of recommendation. This is what I've learned, this is what it might cost, this is what it could do, et cetera. So the superintendent respectfully requests approval of, and then he or she, who's ever sitting in this chair, waits it out until you all make that final decision.
There's a distinction when you recommend a person to us, and if we would choose not to accept that person, we have been told by people like Mr. Sufer that that person, if we rejected them, would have grounds to say that the superintendent respected them as the best candidate. There's a distinction between a hiring and a policy of the board that we will do a particular act. If we turn down a recommendation like an abolishment, for example, then that's the board's decision to accept or reject that recommendation.
Correct.
And, you know, after that, then you would have a responsibility of a different kind.
That is
And,
correct. But
you
it
know,
doesn't, but doesn't preclude me from returning to another forthcoming agenda with the,
May I interrupt?
please do.
So you do, as the board, have the right to reject a recommendation of a person of the superintendent, but that the superintendent then rename that exact same person if that person is the best applicant for a position, and state the reason why that is, and put that back in front of you.
That's
and
what
and the only reason I asked to have this back in front of you is because I feel there was incorrect information shared regarding the questions during the discussion of this, and so it would be my opinion to have the superintendent make his recommendation if he feels like this job should not be reposted right now back to you again before, so you can make your decision. Or if he feels like it should be posted, he needs to tell me to post it. So, but I wanted to have a clarifying conversation because incorrect information was given at the last meeting regarding basically us holding positions out there that are not posted, that we are holding, and we technically either have to post or we have to not have it.
The point of my vote at the last meeting on abolishment was that I did not want to abolish the position, and I preferred that it be filled. That was the reason for my vote. Now, you know, if it comes up again, I'll have another vote. So
So be it.
I will chime in and say, I didn't feel that I would have to make a decision on this evening.
You don't.
I know I don't, but I mean, I'm just talking. Okay? I feel as if, I've been on the fence a little bit on this issue. I feel that the position should remain at Anna Jarvis. However, I don't want to shortchange our other schools. I feel that it's my responsibility to make sure Anna Jarvis has the staff that they need. I feel like it's my responsibility, ours, not mine, but I'm a board member, so I'm saying mine. I feel like it's my responsibility to ensure that Taylor County Middle School has the staff that they need, and that West Taylor has the staff, and Flemington, which we know, we've been given some information on recently. So what I'm trying to say and why I haven't really publicly, I've been kind of vague on a lot of things I've said on whether I would support the position or not. I do support the position. But if it means that we're going to use every single bit of funds for one position at AJ, and we cannot support the other schools with similar positions, then I'm going to be in between a rock and a hard place, because that's not what I want to do. I want to support AJ with a dean of students, and also if the other schools need a dean of students, or Flemington or West Taylor tells us we don't need a dean of students, but for some similar issues, we might need this type of position. I want to make sure that we're fair in our funding and our support to the other schools before I say staff the dean of students at AJ. I'm in support of it. I need them at AJ to have that position that they feel is going to benefit their students. But I need to be reassured before I can say that we're going to give Flemington the support they need as well. That's just where I'm sitting at this moment. You know what I mean? That's where I'm sitting.
I totally get your point, but I was never under the impression that nobody else was gonna get if
I
this
know.
happened.
I know.
Okay, because I don't know if it was Timber or Tone, but something about the way you finished your statement sounded like you believed somebody had said that, and I was never under that impression.
No one has ever said that.
So-
No one has ever said that. I just want to ensure that if I, as a board member, I want to give AJ their dean of students. I'm in full support of that. But okay, we know how things go. We have it on the agenda next time. The superintendent's going to post the dean of students. West Taylor comes in at the very next meeting and says, here are our needs, but we don't make any decision to help West Taylor or even Flemington with something they're requesting. I mean, I just want to make sure that we're fair across the board to every elementary school
Thank you. It's
for
important.
similar needs.
If I might respond to that, I want to assure you once again that all of my recommendations are based on not opinion, but on data, and
I know.
I commit to you again to doing that. There are people that may be complaining to you as board members that we are not providing them what they want. But I assure you that when I sit down and we look at that information and with the people that are providing me the data, and we're discussing those things, and we are discussing those things with them in spite of what some are telling us, we don't just say, I'm not doing that. We look at the data and we make those recommendations based on that. That's my job. And as hard as it is for me to tell you this, I appreciate you trusting me to do that, because that's what we do. So there's your assurance again. You can trust that I'm telling you the truth. I've never lied to you before. I don't have any reason to do that. That's my commitment. I committed to that when I signed my contract with you. That's the assurance I am offering you. I don't make decisions based on vendettas, or someone wasn't nice to me, or I don't do that. I don't try to ever do anything unfairly. Sounds kind of corny, but that's not who I am.
Well, I mean, as a board, I think this board, we've been together for a while now, and we've been very generous. We've seen there in the first couple years that this board has been assembled together, we had a lot of requests for funding. We had band uniforms at the high school. We had the bike club. We can just continue. I want to do that. That's one reason why we have our levy, to help, you know what I mean? To help our community. But what I'm trying to say is it's
Let me help you with that. I believe what you're wanting to say. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but here's my philosophy of that. the funding that comes to the school systems, not just Taylor, are intended to be utilized not for just a big bank account, but all the contributions and improvements and all the things you've done across the county in the years I've been working with you. And yes, we have spent a lot of money, but every one of those investments has been a need
Right.
because you've made frugal decisions based on, is this really something needed or wanted? We all want even more. That's just human nature. But I applaud you and congratulate you, and the recommendations we're making, it continues. Because right now, and for the last 2 years at least, Taylor County's financial situation has been such as the community has stepped up and supported your levies. Let me say I was a voter, our levy, I am a voter. But all those things, and you're responding in kind. You're turning things around so the kids of today are benefiting from the monies those very same parents and grandparents are investing as taxpayers.
I agree.
And so to your credit, I always jokingly say, well, it's kind of half joke, I say to Mr. Dolan, do we have money for that? And he's monitoring those funds responsibly. And so then we bring that to your table and we say, this is what I understand. Just so you also know the presentation from today, this folder that you received, my suggestion to them as they were asking to be put on the agenda was, please make sure that you provide as much background information as you can to the board, because I know our board is very generous, but expectant of what you've been doing and what's your skin in the game. What are your plans? So you're not just coming with an empty hand, as you've demonstrated time and time and time again. You've not said, so you want a playground, go build it. You said, so you want a playground, we want to support you. What are you doing? And you're not saying, so you must do a certain percentage. You're just saying, what are you, bring to us some assurance that you are actually contributing to your want. Because you have, and convince us it's a need. And so that's what's happened, and that's what this is. This is more a recognition of, an acknowledgement of someone else saying, you have a dynamite group here. And so, but they are also coming to you with some monies in their hands.
And I feel, based on what you just said, I agree with you 100%. And I feel that Anna Jarvis has convinced me as a board member that they need that position. That's just me.
Hence my reason for saying I haven't had the opportunity. They have not approached me, and we have not had a conversation of that nature. I just think it's essential, just like I did just yesterday with another campus faculty, that would be helpful. End of sentence.
I'll interject and also say to remind you that you're also been generous of funding over 30 employees over the formula that Taylor County is using local funds, levy funds. And we discussed this too. So when we're looking at need, we do have to look at the data that we're sharing. And you all have generously done that for all schools. And so that's the continuation of the process that we are trying to be faithful to, us being accountable for every person we put in over formula, that there is a direct need for that as we have to be frugal with our funding. And that's why I just want clear process so that you all understand when we are adding and taking away from that. Because every time we put create on an agenda, we are creating another person over the formula. And every time we abolish, we are taking one off. And so that's the clear path I was just trying to make sure we have for everybody.
Right, and so that goes right along with my fear that I've been trying to explain, is that if we're going to go forth, which is what I believe we should do, and continue with the Dean of Students at AJ, that when we look at Flemington, Taylor County Middle, and West Taylor's needs, similar needs, then I'm fear that we might hear at some point, well, that's going to put us 32 over formula. We can't afford that to go 32 or 33 over formula when, to me, I've already voted for a dean of students at AJ, and we can't give the same to some of the other schools. That's what I'm trying to say, what I
Well,
fear.
the other thing is that, keep in mind that equal doesn't mean same.
Okay,
Case in point, we don't need, let's use the number of faculty at Anna Jarvis compared to the number of faculty at Flemington.
exactly.
It doesn't, we need to make sure, we must guarantee that we have sufficient, appropriate staff per building. Not same. We would, the 80-some
I know.
cars that go to Anna Jarvis,
I know.
wouldn't even be able to park 80
know.
cars at Flemington. I'm just using
No,
that
I
as
know.
examples.
I get it.
So
I get
equal
it.
doesn't ever necessarily mean same. And I think that clarification is important to be heard. And so that's why we look at the information based on need and make recommendations based on the data. I hope that's a helpful additional clarification.
Anybody else have a comment or a thought or a? Any other pieces of this discussion that anyone feels strongly about having this evening?
I think just adding that, yes, it would be nice if we could just supply
I know.
as many people as everybody wants. But we do have a fiduciary responsibility, and our decisions, as well as Dr. Stallings, it's not easy, and it's not that we take any of them lightly, as we've been here discussing at length. I do think that Anna Jarvis has shared some very valid concerns, and their feedback is very important, and I feel confident that Dr. Stallings is going to take that into account and really look at what is best for them. And we did just recently approve the counselor, so and as Dr. Decker said, there's interviews will be happening, so it's a lot to take into consideration. And yes, we know that there's other schools that have other needs. It may not be a dean of students, it's something else that they may be requesting, and their concerns are valid as well. That's why we have entrusted you in that position and bringing that to us. But yeah, we want to hear from our constituents and our staff and what they need and stuff, but also to help support and strengthen those relationships between the board, the community, staff, and our superintendent. So it takes all of us to make those decisions and considerations.
But I don't think, still don't feel that we've given, so a couple of times we mentioned whether we were gonna make a decision on having an abolishment on the next agenda or a direction to post. I don't know.
That is up to, I tried to make the point.
What?
I think that's up
Yeah, I was
to
like,
him, not,
the recommendation has to come from the superintendent.
And we can direct, though. We've always
We-
directed, we wanna see this
Yeah.
on the next agenda.
I think at this point, if we say we want to see this on the next agenda, what we will see is, my guess, we don't know, is a very similarly worded, if we say we are comfortable with where we're at and we don't want to see an alternate recommendation or a repeat of a recommendation, then that by default says post it. So I think that's the way my brain is processing that. To. So the question then is, do we feel like this discussion is closed? Or do we feel like this discussion will be reopened next time?
Stay tuned.
Well, I mean, because if we all say this discussion is closed, you could recommend anything you want, but this discussion is closed. If we all say, no, let's continue to discuss this, then
Well, here we are, July
it's the 8th.
8th.
So we're looking at the 22nd.
I mean, something has to be decided because it's got, if it ends up having to be posted
Mm-hmm.
or going to be posted or whatever, there's going to be running out of time to have that done before the school year.
Either way, there's still time this summer to address that.
Okay.
Either way.
I personally would like to see it posted, but I think it's the superintendent's recommendation at the next meeting, and if he recommends to abolish, I'll probably vote against it. But, you know, that's
Be careful. not-
either here or there.
Mr. Taylor, I would caution you on disclosing in public how you're going to vote on an item that's not even on the agenda. Well,
Yeah, I think,
tabling this at this time, and we can wait on the superintendent's directive. That's my
Alright.
opinion, but I don't think we can go any further than what we went tonight. I think we beat this horse dead.
I would agree with that sentiment. Anything else for the good of the order in the 8,000 series, board member comments or discussions? Very good. Moving into the 9,000 series, future meetings. July 22nd, 6 o'clock here at the board office. August 5th, 6 o'clock here at the board office. August 19th, 6 o'clock here at the board office. September 9th, 6 o'clock here at the board office. And a reminder that in August, we will need to pick an additional meeting to set the superintendent's goals, which I believe need to be done by September 15th. But just bring your calendar at the beginning of August and we'll make sure we do that, okay? Motion, Mr. Daddy motions to adjourn, second? Mrs. Gallo seconds. All those in favor? Aye, motion passes. And we are adjourned at 7:53. Thank you very much for your time, your talent, and your dedication. Go forth and enjoy the sunshine.